The roar strikes first. 50,000 voices united in bloodthirsty ecstasy, their collective scream echoing off marble walls stained crimson from 100 previous spectacles. The morning sun casts long shadows across the Colosseum's sand, already darkened with patches of congealed blood that the slaves could not scrub away between acts. In the subterranean chambers beneath the arena floor, a young Gallic prisoner presses his trembling hands against the cold stone wall. The iron chains around his ankles scrape against granite as he shifts, listening to the mechanical groaning of the pulley systems above, the Hypergeum's intricate network of lifts and trapdoors that will soon deliver him to his fate. The air reeks of human waste, fear sweat, and the metallic tang of spilled blood seeping through floorboards overhead. Emperor Domitian leans forward in his imperial box, his jeweled fingers drumming against the marble balustrade. The purple silk of his toga catches the morning light as he raises his thumb, not in mercy, but in anticipation. Today's spectacle will surpass even his predecessors' most elaborate displays of cruelty. Today, the boundaries between entertainment and execution will dissolve entirely. The crowd's thunderous chanting begins. Moors! 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 Death, death, death. A trapdoor creaks open, revealing the arena floor above. Sunlight streams down like divine judgment, illuminating particles of dust and sand that dance in the air like golden snow. The Gallic prisoner's legs give way as guards prod him toward the lift with iron-tipped spears. But what emerges next from the darkness will be far worse than any gladiatorial combat the crowd has witnessed before. An act so monstrous that even hardened Roman spectators will fall silent in horror. The imperial palace on Palatine Hill awakens to the soft patter of silk-slippered feet across polished marble floors. Incense burns in golden braziers, filling the corridors with the heady scent of frankincense and myrrh, aromas that mask the underlying stench of a civilization drunk on its own excess. Emperor Domitian's morning routine begins not with prayers or governance, but with detailed discussions of the day's arena program. His personal secretary, Epaphroditus, unfurls a papyrus scroll with trembling fingers. The list of planned executions. People grow restless, murmurs Flavius Clemens, the emperor's cousin, as he picks at stuffed dormice with ivory utensils. The grain distributions barely suffice, and the Germanic campaigns have depleted the treasury. His words hang in the perfumed air like an accusation. Domitian's laugh echoes off the painted ceiling, where frescoes depict the gods watching mortals at play. Then we shall give them greater spectacles. Bread may fill their bellies, but blood fills their souls. He gestures toward the arena with a jeweled hand. Today, we transcend mere entertainment. Today, we become gods ourselves. The palace corridors buzz with preparation. Slaves polish marble statues until they gleam like living flesh. Others arrange fresh roses in crystal vases, their perfume competing with the acrid smoke rising from the arena's underground furnaces. The Hypergeum's beast cages rattle with the movements of creatures imported from the farthest reaches of the empire. African lions, Germanic bears, and exotic beasts whose names Roman tongues can barely pronounce. In the imperial workshops, craftsmen put finishing touches on elaborate stage sets, designed to transform the arena floor into mythological landscapes. Painted backdrops depict the underworld, complete with rivers of fire and towering cliffs. Mechanical devices, operated by hidden slaves, will create thunderous sound effects and spouts of flame. The line between reality and theatrical performance has blurred beyond recognition. Senator Marcus Nerva enters the emperor's presence with calculated deference, his toga's purple stripe marking his senatorial rank. Yet his eyes betray deep unease as he speaks. Divine Augustus, the people whisper that today's spectacle exceeds all precedent. Some question whether we honor the gods or mock them with such displays. The emperor's smile never wavers, but his fingers tighten around his wine cup until the knuckles whiten. The gods demand sacrifice, dear Marcus, and I am their most devoted servant. Outside, the crowd's anticipation builds like storm clouds gathering over the Tiber. Street vendors hawk wine and meat pies to spectators already drunk on the promise of unprecedented carnage. Children clutch their parents' hands, wide-eyed with excitement and terror. The boundary between celebration and sacrifice grows ever, creating winding passages and dead ends that will soon echo with screams. But this is no mere theatrical backdrop. It is a death trap, designed with the precision of an engineer and the cruelty of a madman. In the imperial box, Domitian's eyes gleam with an unholy fervor as he watches the final preparations. Today's spectacle will recreate the ancient myth of Theseus and the Minotaur, but with a horrifying twist that even his most depraved predecessors never dared attempt. The Minotaur will not be a costumed actor or trained gladiator. It will be a creature born of unspeakable experimentation in the palace's hidden chambers. Months of preparation led to this moment. In the deepest cellars beneath the palace, imperial physicians had worked in absolute secrecy, their hands stained with more than medicinal herbs. They had taken a condemned Germanic chieftain, a man of massive stature and legendary strength, and subjected him to procedures that transformed him into something no longer entirely human. Surgical alterations, mind-destroying drugs, and psychological tortures had stripped away his humanity until only rage and hunger remained. The crowd falls silent as the labyrinth's construction completes. Even the most bloodthirsty spectators sense that something unprecedented is about to unfold. Mothers pull their children closer. Hardened veterans of countless arena spectacles shift uneasily in their seats. The very air seems to thicken with an approaching dread. From the hypogeum's depths comes a sound that chills the blood. A roar that belongs neither to man nor beast, but something caught between. The creature that was once a proud warrior now prowls his underground cage, his mind shattered by months of torment. Crude surgical procedures have grafted animal horns to his skull, while repeated exposure to hallucinogenic compounds has reduced his consciousness to pure animalistic fury. The Theseus chosen for this perverted reenactment is no legendary hero, but a young Christian convert named Lucius, barely 18 years old, selected not for his strength but for the symbolic value of his faith. He kneels in prayer in the staging area beneath the arena, his lips moving silently as he commends his soul to his God. The irony is not lost on Domitian, forcing a follower of the peaceful Christ to play the role of mythology's greatest monster slayer. Senator Nerva rises from his seat, his face pale as parchment. Augustus, surely growth, skin scarred from countless procedures, eyes that burn with mindless hatred. The physician's work has succeeded too well. They have created not merely a killer, but an abomination that challenges the gods' own dominion over creation. Young Lucius is thrust through a doorway into the labyrinth's outer ring, given only a short sword and a small shield, weapons deliberately inadequate for the horror he must face. The crowd's bloodlust wars with their growing unease as they realize the true nature of what they are about to witness. The emperor raises his hand, and the arena falls into absolute silence. 50,000 people hold their breath as one. In that moment of perfect quiet, even the most hardened Roman souls recognize that they stand at the precipice of something that will forever change them. This is no longer entertainment. It is damnation made spectacle. The cage door slides open with a metallic screech that echoes through the marble corridors like the opening of hell's gates. The creature emerges from its cage with movements that mock both human grace and animal instinct. What shuffles into the labyrinth's corridors defies nature itself, a towering form that moves with predatory purpose, its surgically grafted horns scraping against the painted walls as it navigates the narrow passages. The sound echoes through the arena like fingernails against marble, setting teeth on edge throughout the vast amphitheater. Young Lucius presses himself against the labyrinth's outer wall, his breathing shallow and rapid. Through gaps in the stonework, he can hear the creature's approach, heavy footfalls, accompanied by a low, continuous growling that seems to emanate from a throat no longer entirely human. His sword trembles in his grip as he whispers fragments of scripture, seeking comfort in words that feel impossibly distant from this manufactured hell. The first encounter comes at a junction where 3 passages meet. The creature rounds the corner with terrifying speed, and for a moment, man and monster face each other across 10 feet of blood-stained sand. What remains of the Germanic chieftain's eyes locks onto its prey, but behind the madness, something else flickers. A brief, agonizing moment of recognition, as if some buried fragment of humanity still comprehends the horror of what it has become. The crowd's roar dies in their throats. This is not the clean violence of gladiators, longer driven by human tactics or animal instinct, but by something far more disturbing. A programming that has replaced its very essence with pure mechanical violence. In the Imperial box, Senator Marcus Nerva rises to his feet, his face ashen. "Enough!" he shouts, his voice carrying across the arena despite the distance. "This exceeds all bounds of civilization. We are Romans, not barbarians." His words spark murmurs of agreement from other patricians, their moral revulsion finally overcoming their political caution. But Domitian's response chills even his closest advisors. The emperor laughs, not the hearty laughter of entertainment, but a high, brittle sound that speaks of a mind touched by its own creation's madness. "Civilization?" he asks, his voice carrying in the sudden quiet. "We are gods, Marcus. Gods create and destroy as they will, and today we create new forms of terror." The final confrontation comes in the labyrinth's center, where a raised platform provides the crowd with an unobstructed view of the horror to unfold. Lucius, exhausted from the chase, stumbles into the central chamber just as the creature emerges from the opposite entrance. There is nowhere left to run. What follows sears itself into the memory of every witness. The young Christian attempts to defend himself with desperate courage, but his blade finds no purchase against the creature's altered flesh. The abomination that was once a proud warrior falls upon its victim with a savagery that transcends mere violence. It is the complete negation of human compassion, dignity, and mercy made visible. The arena falls into absolute silence. 50,000 Romans, citizens of an empire built on conquest and spectacle, watch in mute horror as their entertainment transforms into something that challenges their very conception of what it means to be human. This is not victory or defeat, but the witnessing of damnation itself. In the imperial box, several senators openly weep. Others vomit over the marble balustrade, their bodies rejecting what their minds have been forced to process. The emperor's own wife, Domitia, rises and walks away without a word, her silk robes rustling like autumn leaves as she abandons the spectacle that has destroyed something irreplaceable in all who witness it. When silence finally returns to the arena, it is not the satisfied quiet of an audience sated with entertainment. The city's very atmosphere seems poisoned by what transpired beneath the afternoon sun. Citizens who witnessed the spectacle walk the streets with haunted expressions, unable to articulate what they have seen, yet unable to forget. The taverns fall silent when conversation turns to the arena. Children refuse to play games of gladiators and monsters. Even the palace slaves speak only in whispers. Emperor Domitian retreats to his private chambers, where he spends hours staring at his reflection in polished bronze mirrors, searching perhaps for some sign of the humanity he has so casually discarded. His meals remain untouched. His advisors find themselves dismissed with increasing frequency. The man who proclaimed himself a god now appears to question whether gods themselves can commit acts too heinous for divine forgiveness. The creature, what remains of it after that terrible afternoon, has simply vanished. Some say it was destroyed immediately after the spectacle, its purpose served. Others whisper that it escaped into Rome's underground tunnels, where it stalks the forgotten spaces beneath the city. But no evidence exists either way, and none dare investigate too closely. Yet the most troubling mystery remains unspoken in the marble halls of power. Was this abomination truly Domitian's creation, or merely the inevitable conclusion of an empire that had gradually surrendered its soul to spectacle? The physicians who performed those unholy procedures have scattered to the far corners of the known world, taking their secrets with them. The Germanic chieftain's true identity died with his transformation, leaving no family to mourn, no tribe to remember his name. History will record Domitian's assassination just months later, struck down by members of his own household who could no longer serve a master who had transcended human evil. But the conspirators themselves remained silent about their true motivations. Was it political ambition or something deeper? a recognition that some acts poison not merely the perpetrator, but all who witness them. The Colosseum still stands, its stones unchanged by what they witnessed. New sand covers the stains. Fresh spectacles fill the calendar. Yet something essential has been broken in Rome's relationship with its own darkness. A recognition that the pursuit of ever greater extremes leads not to godhood, but to the complete abandonment of what makes us human. In the end, the most terrifying aspect of that afternoon's horror was not the creature itself, but the realization that between civilization and savagery was not a boundary to be defended, but a threshold to be crossed in pursuit of ever more elaborate forms of damnation. The question haunts the marble corridors of history, echoing through centuries like the scrape of horn against stone, a sound that, once heard, can never be forgotten.